Hello everyone, I hope you're having a very lovely week so far. I'd like to start this video by saying thank you very much for the support you've been giving me lately. I really appreciate it. On today's video, I wanted to talk about some quirks that come with being bilingual. As some of you know, I am not a native English speaker. I am half Puerto Rican, so my native language is actually Spanish. As a kid, I had the opportunity to assist schools that encouraged English learning, though I must say I didn't really learn much at those schools. The main factor that made me want to learn English was actually cartoons. You know, like SpongeBob, Teen Titans, Adventure Time. I am fully aware that these cartoons have like a Spanish dub, and it is fantastic. I've listened to it recently, and I actually met the Spanish voice actor of SpongeBob last year. Very nice guy. But in my country, it wasn't super accessible, at least when I was growing up. Something really funny that happened was that a show from like Cartoon Network would start in Spanish, and then after the commercials, it would revert to English. I don't know why they allowed that, but some episodes had the dub and some didn't, and at some point, our cable provider just kind of got rid of the Spanish versions. So if I wanted to know what Jake was yapping about, I had to learn English. Learning English opened a new world for me. I could consume so much more media. I could read food labels in stores. I could translate, make English speaking friends. So many awesome things. Being bilingual is a win-win, no? Seems like it's perfect. Only adds things to your life? Well, not so much. Being bilingual comes with a few quirks that aren't necessarily bad, but do complicate life somewhat. As many of you can tell, I have an accent. It is not the most heavy accent, but it is fairly noticeable for people that are native English speakers. While I can understand English pretty much at 100%, speaking English is a whole other can of worms. Like, speaking English is hard. Vowels change depending on the structure of the word. Some noises change if they are together or separate. Sentences flow completely different compared to Spanish, like for example the phrase Steve's water bucket could translate in Spanish to La cubeta de agua de Steve. The order of the noun gets inverted. Another thing is that names change pronunciation as well. My name in English is Axeru, but in Spanish it will be pronounced Axeru. There's a subtle change in the way the vowels flow, and it causes some confusion to some people. Pretty much all my online friends have asked me how do they pronounce my name, and I always struggle to give them like a straight answer because it kind of just depends. I have this issue that sometimes I mispronounce things and the meaning of the sentence completely changes. Like the word beach and bitch are super similar, or like my brain processes them as like the same thing. And I am embarrassed to say that more than once I've said, "Oh yeah, I live near bitch," and people look at me like, "What? What do you mean?" Something else that I deal with is people asking me if I speak Argentinian or Mexican. Like, do you speak Mexican? Which, by the way, aren't languages. I don't speak Puerto Rican, I speak Spanish. All of those countries speak Spanish. There are just regional variants of Spanish depending on where you live. Like, if I traveled to Spain, I'd be able to communicate with them just fine for the most part. There are a few differences in terms of local words and sentence flow, but overall it's the same. Personally, my Spanish is relatively robust. I have friends that are from Mexico and Spain, so a lot of their words just kind of rub off on me. I try to ask if I don't know the meaning of a word as well. People are more than happy to explain it to you as long as you're respectful. But if someone asks me what Spanish I know the best, is probably like Puerto Rican Spanish since I live here. I'm not an expert on this subject, but it is recommended for people that want to learn Spanish to learn the linguistics of Mexico, since it's very similar in all of Latin America, and you would be able to speak to a large majority of the Spanish-speaking countries. But if you want to learn the OG Spanish, I suggest learning Spanish from Spain. Or I think it's called Castellano or Castilian. I don't know if that's a word in English, but yeah, Castellano. Hopefully I didn't lose you with that explanation. I used the example of like English from the United States versus English from Australia or English from England. I'm not sure if anyone has ever discussed this subject, but bilingual people have a change in their brain whenever they become like really fluent. thinking it's kind of strange because you would think my internal voice would be in Spanish, but it's actually in English. My dreams are also mainly in English, and it might have to do with the fact that I constantly have to read English every day, but don't really read all that much Spanish. Or maybe my brain just prioritizes the practice over the convenience. I've heard some bilingual people say that sometimes it will fluctuate to the day, and if they're really exhausted, they will revert to the original language as it consumes less brain power. I'm not 100% sure if that's factual, but it's something that I would like to discuss in the comments. I also struggle with a little something called language switching. Your brain can't handle thinking in two different languages at the same time. It needs a little period of time to be able to switch between one or the other. Sometimes in job interviews they ask me to switch to English midway, and adjusting is always difficult for me. Like, you need to actively use brain power to switch between one or the other on a whim. And you might mix Spanish and English words as you're speaking as well. That's called Spanglish. This is a really strange behavior, but it's actually kind of fascinating in a way. Alright, let's address the elephant in the room. I can't talk about language without mentioning racism. There's been so many times where I've been playing a video game online and I say a word with a slight Spanish accent and I get the "shut up, Mexican." Some people will straight up leave the lobby because you're there. Like, come on, is it really so bad that there might be a Mexican in your lobby? Like, it's not, what the hell? It's so weird. I guess it's kinda on me because I used to play a lot of Call of Duty when I was younger, and Call of Duty is known as a place where just people don't really care about the opinions of others and just say whatever they want to say. But is it really that hard to not be rude and just enjoy the game? Personally, I get really happy when I hear like a different accent when I'm playing a game. Most like, your accent is so lovely, where are you from? Like, I try to find out more about the person because their voice is really unique. I like to clarify that I don't get offended when I get called Mexican. I love my Mexican brothers and their food is the best in the world. It's the constant stereotyping that people have to label all Spanish speakers as Mexicans in a derogatory way that haunts me. I've never been to the United States and I like to, but lately I've seen a lot of oppressions toward Spanish speaking people, not just Mexicans, but I've seen like people from Cuba and even people that are from Puerto Rico, which we are a United States country. Technically, we are a colony, but even within the United States, we're not accepted, or for the most part. I'm aware that 90% of people in the US are probably very nice and are not racist at all, but it's still something that I think about every once in a while. So yeah, those are some of the quirks of being bilingual. I actually had a few more of these written, but the video was already getting super long, so if you'd like a part 2, please let me know in the comments. Hell, I might even talk about being trilingual someday because I'm trying to learn Japanese and that's been a little challenge. Once again, thanks for being supportive these last few months. You guys are the best. I'll be more active very soon as classes are about to end. Thanks for watching and I'll see you all later.
Oh my god! いつも... A ver, ya lo res... ya. Ya. Pero te quiero decir, ¿sabes qué?
¡Que eres Peña Nieto!
Sí, sí, a mí no me engañes. No me engañes. Tú eres Peña Nieto.